franchise history, the Dallas Mavericks have won the NBA championship.
In sports, there's nothing more inspiring than an underdog story. But in 2011, the Dallas Mavericks didn't just inspire, they shocked the world. This wasn't just a team winning a championship. It was a battle against the odds, against doubters, and against one of the most dominant forces ever assembled in NBA history, the Miami Heat's Big Three. Dirk Nowitzki, a 7-foot forward from Germany, had spent over a decade trying to silence critics who called him soft and not a closer. His Mavericks had tasted playoff heartbreak year after year, falling short in moments when it mattered most. But in 2011, everything changed. The stage, the NBA Finals. The opponent, a Miami Heat super team that promised not one, not two, not three, but multiple championships. The Mavericks, a team full of veterans, cast off, and doubted stars. Everyone expected them to fail, but instead, they carved out a legacy that still echoes in basketball history today. What made this run so special? Was it Dirk's sheer dominance, the revenge tour against doubters, or the tactical brilliance of a team that defied logic? Buckle up, because we're about to dive into why the 2011 Dallas Mavericks Finals run was the most impressive and improbable championship run in NBA history. To understand the 2011 Dallas Mavericks Finals run, we need to rewind to where it all began, a decade of disappointment. Dirk Nowitzki had entered the league as an unpolished 19-year-old from Germany in 1998. Over the years, he became one of the most versatile scoring big men the NBA had ever seen. His signature one-legged fadeaway became unstoppable. But despite his individual greatness, his career was marked by one word: failure.
The corner, Terry puts it up, won't go. Way to hold on, and the Miami Heat are champions of the basketball world. Woo! And the NBA championship.
From 2001 to 2010, the Mavericks consistently made the playoffs. They were known for being a great regular season team, but were never seen as legitimate contenders when it mattered most. The most painful chapter of all, the 2006 NBA Finals. In 2006, Dirk led the Mavericks to the finals, only to suffer one of the most humiliating collapses in NBA history. Up 2-0 against Dwyane Wade and the Miami Heat, the Mavericks imploded, losing 4 straight games. Fans and analysts pointed fingers at Dirk, questioning if he could truly lead a team to a championship. That loss haunted Dirk for years. It wasn't just a series loss, it was a defining moment in his career. By the time the 2010-2011 season rolled around, the narrative around Dirk and the Mavericks hadn't changed. They were seen as perennial playoff underachievers. But while the Mavericks were quietly retooling their roster, the NBA landscape shifted dramatically. Enter the Miami Heat. In the summer of 2010, LeBron James made the infamous announcement heard around the world. I'm taking my talents to South Beach. Joined by Dwyane Wade and Chris Bosh, the Miami Heat's Big Three instantly became title favorites. The Heat weren't just aiming to win, they were aiming to dominate. LeBron himself promised multiple championships, famously saying, not one, not two, not three, not
4, not 5.
The Heat entered the season with the giant target on their back, but still managed to finish second in the East. They rolled through the playoffs with a roster that seemed unstoppable. Meanwhile, the Mavericks quietly put together one of the most well-rounded teams in the league. Their starting lineup included veteran Jason Kidd, who was still orchestrating plays like a maestro, Tyson Chandler, a defensive anchor in the paint, and Jason Terry, a sharp-shooting six-man who wasn't afraid of the spotlight. But despite their regular season success, the Mavericks were overlooked yet again. Critics dismissed them as too old, too slow, and lacking the firepower to compete with teams like the Los Angeles Lakers or the Miami Heat. They entered the playoffs as the third seed in the West with a chip on their shoulders and something to prove. The 2010-2011 Mavericks were more than a basketball team. They were a collection of players on a mission. Dirk Nowitzki was determined to rewrite his legacy. Jason Kidd was chasing the one thing that had eluded him for nearly 2 decades, a championship ring. And Tyson Chandler was ready to dominate defensively and prove his worth. And Jason Terry, he didn't just want a ring, he tattooed the championship trophy on his arm before the playoffs even started. A bold statement of belief. As the playoffs began, analysts predicted the Mavericks would struggle in the first round against the Portland Trail Blazers, a young, hungry team with plenty of firepower. But the Mavericks had something these analysts didn't see, an unbreakable belief in each other. And so, the journey to one of the greatest finals run in NBA history began. The 2011 NBA playoffs were set, and the Dallas Mavericks found themselves in familiar territory, the third seed in the West. Critics were quick to dismiss them, predicting an early exit. But this wasn't the same Mavericks team from years past. They entered the postseason with a new identity, a team built on grit, teamwork, and an unshakable belief that this year could be different. The Mavericks' first test was against the Portland Trail Blazers, a scrappy team built to cause problems. With rising stars like LaMarcus Aldridge and veterans like Andre Miller and Gerald Wallace, Portland was a dangerous 6th seed. In the first 2 games, Dallas looked solid. Dirk led the way with his scoring, and Tyson Chandler dominated the boards. They took a 2-0 series lead, and it seemed like the Mavericks were in control. But the Blazers fought back in Portland, winning games 3 and 4. The series was tied, and suddenly whispers of another Dallas collapse grew louder. Game 4 in particular was a heartbreaker. Portland's Brandon Roy scored 18 fourth-quarter points to engineer an incredible comeback win. For Maverick fans, it felt like deja vu. Back in Dallas for Game 5, the Mavericks were determined to silence their critics. Dirk Nowitzki dropped 25 points, while Jason Terry and Sean Marion combined for key buckets down the stretch. Dallas regained control of the series, and in Game 6, they made sure there would be no surprises, locking down Portland's offense to close out the series 4-2. Next, the Mavericks faced the defending champion Los Angeles Lakers. Led by Kobe Bryant, the Lakers were heavy favorites to win the series. The narrative was simple. Dallas was too old, too slow, and couldn't compete with the Lakers' championship pedigree. But the Mavericks had a different plan. In Game 1 at Staples Center, Dirk was unstoppable, scoring 28 points and grabbing 14 rebounds. Jason Kidd played brilliantly, controlling the tempo, and the Mavericks defense suffocated the Lakers down the stretch. Dallas stole Game 1 on the road, sending an early message. Then in Game 2, the Mavericks delivered another shocker, with clutch shooting from Dirk, Jason Terry, and Paige Stojakovic. They stunned the Lakers again, heading back to Dallas with a 2-0 lead. The scene shifted to Dallas, but the story stayed the same. The Mavericks dominated Game 3, and in Game 4, they delivered one of the most memorable performances in NBA history. Jason Terry was unconscious, hitting a record 9 3-pointers. the Mavericks dismantled the Lakers, winning by 36 points to complete the sweep. It was the first time a Phil Jackson-coached team had ever been swept in the playoffs. The Mavericks had sent shockwaves through the league. The Western Conference Finals presented a new challenge. The young and explosive Oklahoma City Thunder, with Kevin Durant, Russell Westbrook, and James Harden leading the way, the Thunder were seen as the future of the NBA. But the Mavericks weren't ready to pass the torch just yet. Game 1 set the tone for the series. Dirk delivered one of the greatest playoff performances of all time, scoring 48 points on just 15 shot attempts. He was nearly perfect, going 24 for 24 from the free throw line, a playoff record. And the Thunder threw every defender they had at him, but it didn't matter. Dirk was in the zone. The Thunder managed to take Game 2, but the Mavericks bounced back in Game 3 with a gritty road win. J.J. Barea was a revelation, using his speed and craftiness to carve through Oklahoma City's defense. Sean Marion played lockdown defense on Durant, and Tyson Chandler dominated the paint. Dallas regained the series lead 2-1. Then came Game 4. The Mavericks found themselves down 15 points in the fourth quarter, but they didn't panic. Dirk led a furious comeback, scoring clutch buckets and drawing fouls in the closing minutes. Dallas forced overtime, and in the extra period, they pulled away to take a commanding 3-1 series lead. In Game 5, they finished the job, outlasting the Thunder with contributions from everyone on the roster. The Mavericks were headed back to the NBA Finals. The Mavericks had just completed one of the most dominant playoff runs in recent memory. They swept the defending champions, outlasted a rising powerhouse, and overcame every obstacle in their path. But the hardest challenge was yet to come: the Miami Heat. Could they complete the ultimate underdog story? It all came down to this: the NBA Finals. The Dallas Mavericks versus the Miami Heat. On one side, you had the Heat, the league's newest super team, headlined by LeBron James, Dwyane Wade, and Chris Bosh, with championship aspirations written into their DNA. On the other, the Mavericks, a group of veterans looking for redemption, a superstar in Dirk Nowitzki seeking to rewrite his legacy once and for all. It was the ultimate clash of storylines. The finals tipped off in Miami, and from the beginning, it was clear this was going to be a battle of wheels. The Heat took Game 1, leaning heavy on their athleticism and defensive prowess. LeBron James scored 24 points, while Wade added 22. The Mavericks struggled to find their rhythm offensively, and the Heat pulled away late to secure the win. The narrative began to form. Dallas was simply outmatched. But in Game 2, the Mavericks showed why they were different this year. Down 88-73 with just over 7 minutes left in the fourth quarter, it looked like Miami was cruising to another win. That's when the Mavericks did the unthinkable. Led by Dirk, Dallas went on a 22-5 run, capped by Nowitzki's game-winning layup with seconds remaining. The Mavericks stunned the Heat and tied the series 1-1. Dirk played through adversity in this game too. Unknown to many at the time, he had a torn tendon in his middle finger of his left hand, but refused to let it affect his game. It was the kind of toughness and determination that defined this Mavericks team. Back in Dallas, the Heat regained the upper hand in Game 3. LeBron and Wade combined for 57 points, and the Heat's defense forced crucial turnovers in the final minutes. Despite Dirk's 34 points, the Mavericks fell short, losing 88-86. Once again, the doubters began to question whether Dallas could keep up with Miami's firepower. Game 4 was another pivotal moment in the series, and it became known as Dirk's illness game. Battling a 101-degree fever, Nowitzki wheeled himself onto the court. He struggled early, but when the game was on the line, he delivered. Dirk scored 10 of his 21 points in the fourth quarter, including a clutch driving layup to seal the win. The Mavericks had just tied the series once again. Meanwhile, questions about the Heat's chemistry began to surface. LeBron James was held to just 8 points in Game 4, leading to scrutiny from fans and media alike. Was the pressure getting to Miami? With the series tied 2-2, Game 5 was a shootout. Both teams traded punches, but it was Jason Terry who stole the spotlight. Known as the Jet, Terry scored 21 points, hitting clutch shot after clutch shot to keep the Mavericks ahead. Dirk added 29 points of his own, and Dallas edged Miami 112-103 to take a 3-2 series lead. This was the game where Dallas's team first philosophy shined. J.J. Barea played a key role with his drives to the basket, and Tyson Chandler controlled the paint defensively. Everyone contributed, and the Mavericks now found themselves just one win away from a championship. The stage was set for Game 6 in Miami. The Mavericks were on the brink of history, and Dirk was on the brink of immortality. From the opening tip, Dallas played with focus and determination. Jason Terry exploded for 27 points off the bench, while Dirk, despite struggling early, came alive in the second half. His fadeaway jumpers were unstoppable, and the Mavericks pulled away late in the fourth quarter. When the final buzzer sounded, the Mavericks had won 105-95. Dirk Nowitzki immediately ran off the court, overcome with emotion. After years of heartbreaking criticism, he was finally a champion, and the Mavericks had defeated the Miami Heat 4-2, completing one of the most improbable finals upsets in NBA history. The 2011 finals weren't just about basketball. They were about redemption, perseverance, and proving that hardened teamwork could overcome even the greatest odds. Dirk Nowitzki silenced every critic, and the Mavericks gave us a story for the ages. The Dallas Mavericks 2011 championship wasn't just a victory. It was a statement. It proved that hard work, resilience, and belief in the system could overcome even the greatest odds. For Dirk Nowitzki, it was the crowning achievement of a legendary career. He silenced critics who said he couldn't win and elevated himself into a pantheon of NBA greats. But this story wasn't just about Dirk. It was about a team that came together when no one else believed in him. Jason Terry's swagger, Tyson Chandler's defensive anchor, and Jason Kidd's leadership. Each player contributed in their own way to create a masterpiece of teamwork. The Mavericks didn't just defeat the Miami Heat. They defied the era of super teams. The 2011 finals are still regarded as one of the greatest upsets in NBA history, and the Mavericks run remains a blueprint for what's possible when talent and heart collide. So do you agree? Was this the most impressive finals run in NBA history? Let us know in the comments.
This is the Culture Playbook.